The thing worked like a charm, and she is now physically and morally quite well." "I dare say her husband is a rich man," I said. "He is not as poor as your husband, at any rate," Ernest replied. "But rich or poor, I am determined not to sit looking on while you exert yourself so far beyond your strength. Just think, dear, suppose for $50 or $100 or $200 a year you could buy a sweet, cheerful, quiet tone of mind, would you hesitate one moment to do so? And you can do it if you will. You are not ill-tempered, but quick-tempered. The irritability which annoys you so is a physical infirmity which will disappear the moment you cease to be goaded into it by that exacting mistress you have hitherto been to yourself." All this sounded very plausible while Ernest was talking, but the moment I got home I snatched up my work from mere force of habit. "I may as well finish this as it is begun," I said to myself. Amid the stitches flew from my needle like sparks of fire. Little Ernest came and begged for a story, but I put him off. Then Una wanted to sit on my lap, but I told her I was too busy. In the course of an hour the influence of the fresh air and Ernest's talk had nearly lost their power over me. My thread kept breaking, the children leaned on and tired me, the baby woke up and cried, and I got all out of patience. "Do go away, Ernest," I said, "and let Mamma have a little peace. Don't you see how busy I am? Go and play with Una like a good boy." But he would not go, and kept teasing Una till she too began to cry, and she and baby made a regular concert of it. "Oh dear," I sighed, "this work will never be done," and threw it down impatiently, and took the baby impatiently, and began to walk up and down with him impatiently. I was not willing that this little darling, whom I loved so dearly, should get through with his nap and interrupt my work, yet I was displeased with myself, and tried by kissing him to make some amends for the hasty, unpleasant tones with which I had grieved him and frightened the other children. This evening Ernest came to me with a larger sum of money than he had ever given me at one time. "Now, every cent of this is to be spent," he said, "in having work done. I know any number of poor women who will be thankful to have all you can give them." Dear me, it is easy to talk, and I do feel grateful to Ernest for his thoughtfulness and kindness. But I am almost in rags, and need every cent of this money to make myself decent. I am positively ashamed to go anywhere, my clothes are so shabby. Besides, supposing I leave off sewing and all sorts of overdoing of a kindred nature, I must nurse baby, I suppose, and be up with him nights, and others will have their cross days and their sick, and father will have his. Alas, there can be for no royal road to a sweet, cheerful, quiet tone of mind. January 1st, 1844. Mother says Ernest is entirely right in forbidding my working so hard. I own that I already feel better. I have all the time I need to read my Bible and to pray now, and the children do not irritate and annoy me as they did. Who knows but that I shall yet become quite amiable? Ernest made his father very happy today by telling him that the last of those wretched debts is paid. I think that he might have told me that this deliverance was at hand. I did not know, but we had years of these struggles with poverty before us. What with the relief from this anxiety, my improved state of health, and father's pleasure, I am in splendid spirits today. Ernest, too, seems wonderfully cheerful, and we both feel that we may now look forward to a quiet happiness we have never known. With such a husband and such children as mine, I ought to be the most grateful creature on earth. And I have dear mother and James besides. I don't quite know what to think about James's relation to Lucy. He is so brimful running over with happiness that he is also full of fun and of love, and after all he may only like her as a cousin. February 14th. Father has not been well of late. It seems as if he kept up until he was relieved about those debts and then sunk down. I read to him a good deal, and so does mother, but his mind is still dark, and he looks forward to the hour of death with painful misgivings. He is getting a little childish about my leaving him, and clings to me exactly as if I were his own child. Martha spends a good deal of time with him, and fusses over him in a way that I wonder she does not see she is annoying him. He wants to be read to hear a hymn sung or a verse repeated, and to be left otherwise in perfect quiet. But she is constantly pulling out and shaking up his pillows, bathing his head in hot vinegar, and soaking his feet. It looks so odd to see her in one of the elegant silk dresses old Mr. Underhill makes her wear, with her sleeves rolled up, the skirt hid away under a large apron, rubbing away at poor father till it seems as if his tired soul would fly out of him. February 20th. Father grows weaker every day. Ernest has sent for his other children, John and Helen. Martha is no longer able to come here. Her husband is very sick with a fever and cannot be left alone. No doubt he enjoys her bustling way of nursing, and likes to have his pillows pushed from under him every 5 minutes. I'm afraid I feel glad that she is kept away, and that I have father all to myself. Ernest never was so fond of me as he is now. I don't know what to make of it. February 22nd. John and his wife and Helen have come. They stay at Martha's, where there is plenty of room. John's wife is a little soft dumpling thing, and looks up to him as a mouse would up at a steeple. He strikes me as a very selfish man. He steers straight for the best seat, leaving her standing if need be, accepts her humble attentions with the air of one collecting his just debt, and is continually snubbing and setting her right. Yet in some things he is very like Ernest, and perhaps a wife destitute of self-assertion and without much individuality would have spoiled him as Harriet has spoiled John, for I think it must be partly her fault that he dares to be so egotistical. Helen is the dearest, prettiest creature I ever saw. Oh, why would James take a fancy to Lucy? I feel the new delight of having a sister to love and to admire, and she will love me in time, I feel sure of it. March 1st. Father is very feeble, and in great mental distress. He gropes about in the dark, and shudders at the approach of death. We can do nothing but pray for him, and the cloud will be lifted when he leaves this world, if not before. For I know he is a good, yes, a saintly man, dear to and dear to Christ. March 4th. Dear father has gone. We were all kneeling and praying and weeping around him, when suddenly he called me to come to him. I went and let him lean his head on my breast, as he loved to do. Sometimes I have stood so by the hour together, ready to sink with fatigue, and only kept up with the thought that if this were my own precious father's bruised head, I could stand and hold it forever. "Daughter Catherine," he said, in his faint, tremulous way, "you have come with me to the very brink of the river. I thank God for all your cheering words and ways. I thank God for giving you to be a helpmeet to my son. Farewell now," he added in a low, firm voice. "I feel the bottom, and it is good." He lay back on his pillow, looking upward with an expression of seraphic peace and joy on his worn, meagre face, and so his life passed gently away. Oh, the affluence of God's payments! What a recompense for the poor love I had given my husband's father, and the poor little services I had rendered him! Oh, that I had never been impatient with him, never smiled at his peculiarities, never in my secret heart felt him unwelcome to my home! And how wholly I overlooked in my blind selfishness what he must have suffered in feeling himself homeless, dwelling with us on sufferance, but master and head nowhere on earth! May God carry the lessons home to my heart of hearts, and make the cloud of mingled remorse and shame which now envelops me to descend in showers of love and benediction on every human soul that mine can bless. End of chapter 19. Recording by Zara in June of 2007.